Horror Deconstruction.
Hey everybody, it's the Horror Deconstruction. You can find us at horrordeconstruction.tumblr.com, youtube.com/horrordeconstruction, as well as facebook.com/thehorrordeconstruction with your host Alex, as well as
Schmuzzleboard.
And today's film is
Hellraiser.
Hellraiser is a 1987 horror film written and directed by
Clive Barker.
And what happens in Smellraiser? Also, we should say what this is. This is October, the month of the Big Five. And what are we doing for the Big Five this month?
We're doing, 5 big franchises of horror movies.
Oh, I thought
from the 80s, I suppose.
I thought we were talking about how I impressed the ladies in the bedroom.
His big 5-inch penis.
That's where I was intending to. Okay, so our first group is going to, the first two, let me just say who. We're doing Pinhead first because we had a little voting thing going on the Tumblr. And a lot of people, we had a couple of people. We had Freddie, Michael, Jason,
Olympian, all these different things that we
right.
wanted.
I mean, and then I shouldn't have put Freddie, Michael, and Jason in their first place because they're obviously they're the most well known out of horror icons.
Yeah,
and they're more of the slasher genre, I guess.
Well, I'm very happy with the picks.
Yeah. Why do you think? Just starting out before we do this Hellraiser part, why do you think? Freddie, Michael, and Jason, because they're specifically slasher films, right?
Well, but Freddy's not really a slasher, because he's all fucking dream psychos, surreal
slasher. He does turn into... He's more of an elevated version of a slasher film. I mean, he's high concept slasher.
He's high
art
slasher.
High art. High concept, right.
High fashion.
Why do you think?
It's
more because
fashion statement going. He's got that fucking sweater. He's got a hat. He's got gloves.
You think it's just because they're more?
He's slasher couture.
They're iconic. That they're way more. They have personality, I guess. Jason doesn't really have a personality. I think it's more his look. Freddy has more of a personality. I don't
quite understand as much, but
Jason and Michael
totally get.
Jason and Michael are basically interchangeable. I could say.
Yeah.
I don't mean to insult, people, because I do like the characters for whatever.
I
like the looks of the characters.
Jason's kind of like a weird zombie-ish sort of demon thing.
Yeah, from the 6th film on, he becomes like a zombie. The first 5, he's just like this unkillable, a mutant kind of guy, or a mutated kind of guy.
I guess Mike Myers is just almost the same exact thing, but without saying it.
What's weird is I think I find Michael Myers, out of all of these guys, I think Michael Myers is more the scarier one. Does that make sense?
He's like a real dude.
Yeah, it kind of seems like he's not with Part 6, obviously, in that franchise where he's kind of has a whole supernatural angle, whatever bullshit they pulled with that. But I think he's more creepier in that sense, that he's like a real guy that's just going around. He just says no face, but him and Jason are basically the same kind of character. And I'm sure there's people going, that's not the truth.
People get really defensive about.
Hey, everybody! It's people wearing masks, killing people. They're all doing the same shit. Anyway.
The thing I like though, because I only recently got into Freddy. I never really saw it as a kid. But Freddy's awesome. I wish I grew up with that because he's so fucking. He's the only one with a real personality, and
right.
Chucky too. That's why I love Chucky so much.
That is true. Yeah, and Chucky as well because
Chucky's hilarious.
The two guys with the real personalities are obviously Chucky and Freddy. And Pinhead I've only seen this Pinhead film. I guess I think I saw parts of Part 3, and I think I saw a full one of the
There's
Part
9
8 or something.
Of these things I've.
Is it 9 including the latest remake, Hellraiser?
I guess that would make
Hellraiser
it
in Puerto Rico. I guess I don't know. It's not the same actor who
goes
plays
to Puerto Rico. Did you say?
Yeah, he goes and he starts frying pigs and stuff. Anyway,
he's eating chicken feet.
Then they were I think you're mistaking that for African Americans. But
no,
anyway,
that's a Spanish thing.
Is it? I never ate chicken foot in my life.
I have.
Okay.
I'm a Jew. Maybe I'm secretly Spanish.
So let's get into Pinhead, or as some guy called. What is his name? I forget his name.
Doesn't matter. The first Cenobite.
King Raccoon, which is a very racist name, so you should be you should be ashamed of that name, King Raccoon. You racist scumbag. No, actually, he made sure. I think he did it on Horror Harbor's page. I was calling her Thea. Horror Harbor, that Tumblr.com. He went on her page and he wrote, because we said, Pinhead's the first guy we're doing. So he wrote, actually, it's he's called the first Cenobite. You know me, he probably meant...
Maybe in one of these 8 million horrible sequels, it's called the first Cenobite.
Yeah, right? But he wanted to make sure that we knew that was his name.
If I was going to watch any of them, I've seen the first one like many times, and I read the book, but I don't have any interest in seeing the sequels, because everything I hear about them makes them sound terrible, and I do like watching bad movies, but not when it ruins a good character.
Yeah, and unfortunately, this is a pretty fun movie, but unfortunately, Pinhead is in it for like about 5 minutes total, right? Or 8 minutes maybe. And also just to stick it in King Raccoon's ear, he's actually in the original script called Priest. So eat that, buddy. Keep listening to our show. Shit. So thank you, but thank you for listening. Anyway, so Clive Barker's Hellraiser, 1987 film. Let's get into it. What is Hellraiser about?
It is about basically this guy. I mean, the book gets more into it from my memory, and I was reading the summary just to remind me.
Go into the book.
It's about this dude who's just kind of like a bad guy, and he's, what do they call him, like nihilist or whatever?
Okay.
They just want to experience everything, and...
I mean, we don't get that at all from the film. We just kind of think that he's an asshole in the movie.
He's like a fucking sensation-seeking asshole who doesn't care what he does to get what he wants, basically.
So his name is Frank, right?
He finds this, fucking box, which, it's called the... What the fuck is it called? I don't know. It's called
Configuration.
The Lament whatever. And it's like a magic box that kind of opens up this other world, and then he gets taken by the Cenobites. And the whole thing with the box, it goes more into it in the book, I feel like, but it's just kind of like this sensation, they have the power to make all your senses so insane. And I remember in the book, he sees a flea wink at him or something, and I remember thinking that was really cool. His eyesight's so crazy intense, and everything is so intensified.
So the script is based off the original novel called The Hellbound Heart, right?
Yeah.
So I assume they go more into Frank's origin and all his stuff. Frank is not Pinhead, by the way. If people listen, we know the difference.
He's the bunny from Donnie Darko. It's a crossover.
Yeah.
And
why are you wearing that stupid human suit? Anyway, go ahead.
From my memory, they get a lot more into how difficult it is to open the box. It's not easy like they make it look in the movie. It's just he spends months playing with it until he finally gets it.
Yeah, it kind of seems like
I could be remembering a different Clive Barker book. Actually, it's possible.
It kind of seems that Frank, the way the film opens is that with horrible dubbing of this guy going, he's like, "What's your pleasure?" And then he goes, "The box." And I was like, hey, that's my pleasure too, bro, if you know what I mean. Anyway, so I guess he gets this, a box, the Lament configuration, from this Asian guy with the worst overuse of stereotypical...
They were doing an ode to Kung Fu movies. Even though they did an American movie or an English movie, they still have to make Asian people speak dubbed.
The best part is that you don't see them speaking by mouth, so I can imagine that was Clive Barker. Clive Barker's like, "We didn't record this Asian guy," and then he just did the voice. Is that
He's a very talented actor, that Clive Barker.
Is he? Has he acted, or are you just saying
because
he did the Asian
ever acted,
voice? Anyway,
but usually, based on Nightbreed, I'd have to say he's a pretty bad director, but this movie's great.
He knows how to film a scene. I don't know.
I
think he does really good shots.
And I love
But I know what you're saying about Nightbreed. Nightbreed was kind of a mess.
I can't even think what the hell it is. What the fuck is it called? Why is this so?
Oh, you know when this was released in the UK? September 11th, 1987.
That's awesome. Candyman.
What about Candyman?
No, he didn't even direct that. Okay, never mind. Right? Well, it's a good. I love it.
Yeah, there were a lot of changes. That's why I think if he directed it, he would have kept more of his novel in it, right? Because wasn't Candyman a white guy?
It's completely different. It has nothing to do with it.
Candyman was originally a white guy in that version.
Candyman was just this town legend. I mean, I think he was white from my memory, and it was only 30 pages long or something. They turned in this whole story about...
He really was a white guy in the original version?
I don't know. I don't know exactly if he was white, but he definitely was not a slave or any of that stuff.
racist.
Or at least they didn't get into that, or I could be remembering it wrong. It's been quite a while.
So Frank opens this box, and it leads to one of the most hilarious images of a guy getting hooked with these cheap hooks, just grabbing at him. He's like, "Oh!"
Yeah, his skin's really stretchy.
Yeah, he's like, "Brrr," and he just gets cut into pieces and stuff. And I think it's pretty cool. I think Pinhead's first, when you first see him in the film, it's kind of it's not as epic.
You know what he is? He's like Captain Howdy with pins in his face.
Oh, Jesus, just don't insult
That's like the whole point.
Don't insult Doug Bradley.
That's the whole point of the Cenobites. They're all just like Captain Howdy would love this place.
Yeah. What did he say? A man once told me that when he's close to death, hiding behind your mama's skirt.
Like, what a rush.
What a rush. Anyway, that's a really good... If you guys listen to our... what was that movie called? Strangeland. That was a really good episode of ours. Anyway, so Frank opens this box. He gets sent to hell, supposedly, I guess, or whatever dimension he's from. Do you think these guys are aliens or demons?
No, they're like... They call themselves explorers. They're basically like demons, or they say they could be angels too, and they live on like an alternate plane of existence.
So they're just like from another dimension, basically.
And Clive Barker gets a lot into like alternate planes of existence in his books.
I like that idea. Unfortunately, we don't see much of these guys in this movie, which is kind of bad. But they're trying to tell a main story. It almost feels like I was gonna say Tales from the Crypt, but that doesn't make any sense because
the Chatterteeth one. I want to like give him a blanket or something. He seems
He's braces too. There's this Japanese comic book that everybody should really check out because it's drawn amazing by this guy named Kenta Miura called Berserk, which is it's a fucking awesome cartoon that people should watch. It's like 26 episodes. It takes place in the medieval times. And it plays it straight like a medieval kind of action fantasy kind of thing without like so much fantasy in it. But then it takes a turn where demons are introduced. And there is this group called the God Hand in it. And they're all... I mean, it's the comics from like 1980-something. From the 90s, maybe.
Is it like Army of Darkness or something?
In a way, but like seriously even more disturbed. Because the main character...
Army of Darkness, I guess, is like a comedy. So.
Right, no, this is way darker. And there's this group called the God Hand, which are trying to, I guess, do something with Earth. They're trying to either take it over or something. And they're almost like Japanese versions of Cenobites. They look fucking amazing. And one of the guys is this floating fat guy, and he looks just like the fat guy in here with the little black goggles on. Mm-hmm. And there's another character who's like this giant skeleton with a giant brain. And they all look like Cenobites. If you guys love the designs of the Hellraiser, because the Cenobites in this look fucking awesome. They just have a really cool look to them.
There's also, I could be wrong, but there's a whole action figure line called Tortured Souls. I'm pretty sure those are supposed to be like Cenobites, because it's all just like sick, awesome.
Those are all people that went to hell, right? That's the premise of those. That's McFarlane toys.
I always assumed it was just like Cenobites, or victims of Cenobites.
McFarlane Toys also released Pinhead figures, I believe, because those are like the greatest action figures that are like... Well, they're not really action figures, but they...
My friend collects figures.
I was so mad that I didn't get to...
these things, they're pretty cool.
I can't believe I bought the Legends toy, but I never got the Patrick Bateman action figure, which I wish I bought. And I'm sure it's a lot of money now. But anyway...
Which one is that? Is it him like...
It's just him. It's just him with an axe and stuff. And they had like an 18-inch version, which was like a tall one, so you could probably shove it up your ass and be like, do you like Hugh Lewis in the news? Like that kind of stuff. But, okay, let's get back to this film. It's fun talking about Pinhead. He's pretty cool.
Yeah. He's sexy.
Okay, so their first...
they're not really pins, they're nails.
Right. You don't really see... Yeah, because... what's his name? Craig Barker. Craig Barker's lover... Clive Barker didn't actually like the name Pinhead for the character, and I think it was a nickname by the crew, and I think it stuck because of the character. One of the characters
used knitting needles.
Yeah, it's true, and his face is like his head is the shape of a tomato.
You just see these big, obtrusive, stupid red knitting needles,
and he's plushy, and you see him somebody pulls out of his head to knit their sweater.
He vomits out yarn at all times.
So yeah, I think the name stuck in part 3, and then they started using it in the part 4, part 5, and stuff like that. And I think they might have used it in one of the actual names of the film.
I guess the only reason... Well, no, he's not the only one that talks. There's also that really annoying-looking one with the cheek piercings.
The girl with the throat open?
It's like she's got like
with the mouth piercings, right? And then she has her neck open, like you could see the inside of her
right.
throat.
And she talks a couple times. The other ones kind of just like chatter their teeth and shit.
Yeah, so like I said, Pinhead when he first comes out, it's not really anything of it. It's awesome. It's pretty.
Do you
cool.
think they're dating?
No, I don't think he's dating. Well, actually, Pinhead was human at once, but I think he's lost all the his mojo for ladies.
Was he human?
Yeah, later on in the stories, I was reading the Wikipedia, and apparently Doug Bradley, the guy who plays Pinhead, would speak with Clive Barker about who this character was and his path, and they decided that he used to be human, but now he's kind of just
lost. So Frank could potentially have gotten a promotion to be like that.
Yeah, if he played it straight, I guess. But I guess these guys aren't. I mean, how do you move up the ranks to do that? Do you know what I mean? Like to become.
You got to embrace it. Frank hated it after a while.
Yeah, because if let's say they're Cenobites, right? So Pinhead, I'm sure in the sequels down the road, there's an explanation of why he has all these pins in his head. I remember he's like a 1940s army guy.
He probably did it to himself.
He's a World War II guy. That's all I remember, or that's what I remember.
He's like Albert Fish. Like he used to stick pins in between the asshole and balls.
Jesus Christ! I know that's true too. That's disgusting.
He made his kids like spank him and shit.
But there's one of the later sequels of the film. He's actually like a 1940s guy, like an army guy, and something happens where he just I don't know. So if anybody knows it,
but now a pin grenade goes off near his face.
If anybody knows, they can put it up in the Tumblr and then go fuck themselves. So let's get into the story. So we first see there's a lot of gore and it's pretty cool looking. I mean, there's like this. I
love all the creatures and shit.
It's really disgusting. There's all this gore on the floor, and there's a part where there's a hand. I thought it was gonna be really cheap. Like there's a hand reaching through these organs and blood on the floor, and I was like, oh no, is this supposed to be some kind of shitty like heavy metal-esque of just a hand for no reason going through all this blood, but it's actually picking up a piece of the face, and it's pretty cool because it picks up the face and you see the guy's eyeball in it. But
you're talking the scene where he puts the face together like a puzzle?
Right on the floor, right. But what made me laugh because it reminded me, I was like, oh, is this like some stupid no point just showing a hand go through blood? You know what I mean? Like, you know how they would just do that? Like, oh,
said it was like a dark Picasso.
There's a group called Nevermore, this metal band. They're trying to, metal bands are trying to be really like scary and shit. And they're just like guys wearing pancake makeup. There's nothing scary about it. And in the video, this guy's like he's just holding worms up and eating them like it's the most shocking thing I've ever seen. He's like, oh my god, he's eating worms. I gotta get out of here. Let me out of here.
That on like
I read that in fifth grade in that book. I can eat fried worms, or whatever the hell that shit is. Like, what's so scary about that? It's that, and then you look at like Marilyn Manson, like stuff he did like when he first came out. I was generally like, what the fuck's wrong with this guy? He's being shocking. But then once like
Marilyn Manson is a true artist.
He is, but I mean, his shocking stuff is he's kind of.
He did some pretty cool shit though.
He did. I read it. I even read his.
He used to go in like cages and have like chainsaws and shit on the cage, and it was crazy.
I read his autobiography, and it was pretty cool. It was a pretty fucked up thing where he would fuck this girl while her boyfriend was out. While her boyfriend was out, because they were all living together, and she would blow him, and then she would kiss the boyfriend as soon as he came back, and he didn't know. That's pretty gross. But then I think that boyfriend started fucking his girlfriend, so it was pretty funny. But it's a pretty good autobiography from Marilyn Manson. But then, but I think what happened is when
talking about everything.
I know, but we'll get into this because we want to talk about Pinhead. We don't care about these other characters. But one more thing about Marilyn Manson is like once those idiots shot up the school.
Yeah, he did the bowling for
what are they called? Columbine. Yeah, those idiots. And then when the Twin Towers fell down, there was nobody really scared of Marilyn Manson anymore because there was a lot more shit going on.
Right.
So that's kind of it's kind of like you don't want that kind of stupid scary shit in you can save that for films, but in reality it's like you're not scared unless you're gonna fucking walk into this this crowded.
I don't think he was ever really trying to be scary. I think
Marilyn Manson, it was scaring a whole bunch of Christian people, of course.
Yeah, but they're stupid. They're scared.
I get what you're saying, but I'm saying that's their idea of what scary is, something that's ungodly, stuff like that.
Which is everything.
Right, basically, I guess so. Sneezing in a blanket.
I say and do. I am sure that I say at least 10 things an hour that would shock these people.
And that's what you say in a day, right? Just 10 things an hour. At 24, you have like... Anyway. Okay, so...
40.
So once Frank is sent or taken apart, I guess, they don't really go into what happens to him until later on in the film. We're led to the same building... or the same house, right? That was Frank's house, him and his mother's house.
Yeah.
These two brothers. It's Frank and his brother. Who the hell's his name?
Tori.
Tori? No.
Is that no? That's the Rory.
Rory's the guy?
Let me look. Hold on. Larry is in the movie. It's Larry, but it was Rory in the.
Yeah, Larry's the guy.
Larry.
Larry's the guy.
Larry.
So Larry and his hideous wife comes to
what the fuck?
Julia. I don't know, man. I'm telling you, I think she looked like David Bowie. Looks like makes a sexier woman.
How can anybody even like talk to her? She's not even. She's got a horrible personality.
I feel bad for her because she's like an actress, a real actress. I was pretty good in the movie, but like I don't get it. Like in the '80s,
No, but she's playing a horrible bitch, so she actually did a great job.
Yeah, and I mean, she married this guy and she was happy, but I guess we find out that Frank showed up to the house and he's like a complete tool and he's like an asshole. But I guess that's the kind of guy she's into because he fucks her once and then she devotes herself to him for the rest of her life.
He must have a really big penis.
He must have. And then
maybe he's into all that paint shit. Maybe he has a Prince Albert.
That's true. You know this because he's more exciting than this milk toast fucking douchebag. Because when they come in, like if you look at them, Julia and Larry, they look like Ned and Maud Flanders. They're just like two of the most milk toast looking fuckers. You can see behind Julia, like I don't know what the hell is so great about Julia because she's like a stone cold bitch.
She's got her clit pierced probably, and probably I know what happened when they were fucking. Her clit piercing got caught on the hoop going through his dick piercing, and it was yanking on both of them. They're playing tug of war.
Yeah, they're just so. I mean, the acting is a little rough at the beginning because I guess because you see Larry coming and goes, "Oh, here's home, oh boy, this is fantastic." It's just the way he acts. It almost seems like when he's about to like have sex with her, he's like, "All right, I'm about to move my tongue on your lady parts. Open wide, honey. This is it. I'm about to arrive." Anyway, so he kind of seems like that. I mean, he's an okay guy, and apparently he has a daughter, Christy. Who's very cute.
Pussyfoot.
He pussyfoots around. His daughter, Christy Cotton, was very cute. She.
I don't know last name Cotton.
Christy Cotton. Yes, that's what it says on Wikipedia. She says that she lives somewhere else. She got an apartment somewhere. I guess what she does is
she doesn't want to live with them.
Yeah, she doesn't want to live with her.
Rich and offering that she doesn't have to work, and she's saying, "No, I want to work."
Yeah, and he's he's just like you can come live with us. There's no problem. But I think obviously she has a problem with Julia. That Julia's some kind of stone cold bitch. And eventually, what we learn, I don't get it. She's just so like if you're not into your man, just leave, right? What's the problem?
Nah, she's stupid.
They're all stupid.
She's British or something. British people have backwards thoughts.
Oh my god. There's some guy going, "I don't like what he's saying, but it's the truth." Anyway. So they're moving into this apartment, and Julia's walking around, and she's seeing all this stuff that I guess Frank is a guy who breaks the law a lot because he's on the run or on the lam, so to speak.
Yeah, and his brother doesn't know where he is, and blah, blah, blah. And then you find out that Julie and Frank were cheating. And
Frank never knew. But Larry one day came into the house out of the rain, and he had all that sexy look about him. And he's like, "You let me in? Are you gonna let me in?" And he's like coming in. "Can you give me a towel?" He's kind of like that. He's just very abrasive.
But you're reversing the names, actually.
Frank's the guy.
Yeah, Frank. Oh, I thought you said Frank was the husband for a second.
Oh, did I? If I did, fuck these people.
You know what? No. Fuck you, Alex.
Oh, I'm out of here.
Fuck you.
Door slam. So we found out that she had an affair with him, and that affair affected her so bad because he must have just ran out the next day after shooting.
The clit piercing, the Prince Albert, it got her going.
After hitting her on the clitoris with a mallet. He what?
He says she'll do anything he wants.
Right? Can you imagine that?
He'll take her up on it.
He gave her some deep
zombie.
He gave her some deep dick action, like seriously.
Yeah. I mean, his dick was rubbing inside her uterus.
She had the whole thing where her hands were like grabbing onto the sheets and everything. It was
little unborn Christie's fetus was like sucking on the tip of that dick.
Do you think what's his name, Clive Barker was like puking when he directed that? He had no idea.
Kirsty, I'm sorry.
He was like. This is a heterosexual sex, isn't it? And he's like he's just throwing up. He's like, please, when you have sex, close your legs. I can't stand that fucking vagina smell. He's just throwing up everywhere. He's just throwing up.
Her vagina probably would smell too.
Oh, that's so bad. We're gonna get.
She probably puts like baby powder on it and stuff to try to hide the stench.
She doesn't even do. She just puts a whole pack of baby powder. So when she queefs, like a whole smoke comes out.
It makes
she's like a ninja when they. She's like a ninja when they throw those smoke bombs.
Whenever they have smoky room scenes in movies, They'll just make her like queef over a light.
She used to stand around in the 1920s like gaslight films, like whenever somebody's coming out of the darkness, she'll just queef everywhere and all the smoke will come out. They're like, I knew it was you, Charlie. Like, it'll just come out. Anyway, so she had this affair with Frank, and Frank disappeared, and she had like some kind of weird hope that Frank is maybe still around because all his shit was left in the house. The house is a mess. There's maggots everywhere. There's one room that looks like there used to be I guess that's where he died, is where the butcher shit happened.
Yeah.
I like how in the beginning of the film when he opens up the box and you see all these weird lights on the walls and shit like that, and then later on it happens again. He goes, "What's going on?"
Really good special effects.
Really good for the time. And then you said it was like $1 million, right?
No, I'm joking. It was terrible.
Really? Oh, I thought it was okay for what it was. For why is it? Because no, there's one part where the
electric at the end when it's
that's terrible. That's one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life.
It's like Cool World effects.
Yeah. You know what I think it is? I think that since the film, I think it's like one of those classic films shot in 24 frames per second, where, right. You know what I mean, where it's shot at a frame rate where it looks filmic. It's kind of like, there's going to be the new Hobbit films, and they wanted to film it in 48 frames per second, which makes it look
look really weird.
Which makes it look like a soap opera. Because soap opera, when you watch soap opera, it looks like it's kind of happening in real time, as opposed to 24 frames per second.
My friend has a TV screen that, like, I have a friend who's like really into film and explain the technicalities. But one of my friends has a TV screen that makes everything look like you're there or something. Okay. And I hate it. I can't like watch things on it.
Yeah, so they wanted to do that with the Hobbit film, which is 48 frames per second.
I don't know why.
And it looks like, it looks like a soap opera, and you're like, what the fuck? They wanted to, but then they had a test screening of it, and they're like, what the shit is this? This is horrible looking. It doesn't look like a film. But going back to what the Hellraiser, it's 24 frames per second, but I
thought they were doing it like that.
What?
The Hobbit.
There is a 48 frames per second version, but I think what happened is that they had such a bad backlash of people seeing the 48 frames, and they were like, what the fuck? This looks like a soap opera. That it didn't feel like a movie. It felt like something you'd see on TV.
Right.
So anyway, going back to Hellraiser, when it goes, it's what I think is that it's 24 frames, like a regular film, especially it's in the 80s and it's choppy looking. That they animate. There's a sequence where they send all the Cenobites back to hell, and I guess they took frame by frame animation of this cheap yellow laser taking them back to hell or wherever they come from, and they had to slow down the footage. But the thing is, that's what makes the animation so obvious, because it's really horrible. Like, you could tell they just drew it on the frame really badly.
They do.
Because I think if they did it,
the movies we're going to be reviewing for these.
I think if they, I'm sure. I think if they did it, I saw an even worse version of this movie called Tenement, where a guy gets electrocuted by lightning at the end, it's horrible.
Well, it's like in
but in this, they
when that old man gets electrocuted and it's like all blue.
That's terrible. That's better than this. That happens in this shit. But
it's so bad, but it's so good.
But in this, they had to slow down the video of them getting shocked back into hell. But I guess because if they moved it at the normal pace at 24 frames, it would have just been like a blink, and you would be like, "What the fuck just happened on the screen?" But it's horrendous, the fucking animation that takes them back to hell. It's one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. Like, because they're like, no, and then you see cartoon like shit that comes out of the beginning of Reading Rainbow kind of animation. So anyway, eventually what we find out is that while moving a bed up the staircase, what's up with those movers too, right? Those two guys, the fat guy and the skinny guy.
Yeah.
He's like, you got any beer? What is it? Move my fucking bed upstairs. Beer.
And the guy had to help, and he cut his hand open.
Yeah, I remember. I was thinking that it was a different way because I saw parts of this when I was a kid. I watched it like through my fingers. I was so fucking scared. There's a part where Larry gashes his hand open with a errant nail that's on the stairwell, and I could have sworn it was a different way. I could have sworn his hand went through the nail, but I might have been thinking of the ring or something.
Right.
And his blood goes through the floor. And it
brings Frank's soul back.
Which I think is because they had the same bloodline for whatever reason. He must have escaped because of this, right? He probably was.
I actually didn't even consider that. I just thought.
Oh, that's what I thought. And so Larry starts running up the stairs, and his hands are really horribly like bloody and stuff like that. He can't look at his own blood, and he's like, he's all.
What a pussy.
He is, and that's probably why she likes. It's the difference between him and his brother, who's like such a.
She should get a strap on and fuck him up the ass.
Who says that she didn't? That's.
She probably does.
I'm sure Clive Barker wrote that somewhere. But
it's a deleted scene.
Yeah, he's like, ooh, and his eyes are crossed, and you see a bird fly out of his head. So he, that blood starts seeping into the floor pretty hardcore, and then it just gets absorbed. I know if I went upstairs and I knew there was a wood flooring, and I knew that I bled all over the floor, and then I look at it and it's not there anymore, I'd be like, something happened.
Right.
I got a self-cleaning
You see all the
house.
floorboards shaking and shit.
Can you imagine that? Him bleeding on the floor. His brother had to fuck up his house.
It made me
again.
think of Johnny the Homicidal Maniac. I believe it's his wall blood.
They should make that into an HBO animated series. That would be so amazing.
I think that series is just never going to happen again.
No, never. Jonan Vasquez knows that's like he doesn't want to sell.
Yeah,
out,
but I believe he talked about making sequels to it.
Really, I hope so. I like that book.
I remember in the book, in the last thing, or reading an interview or something, that he would eventually go back to it. He never did.
Is he?
I could be totally wrong. I don't know.
But he's cool though.
Sometimes I just say things.
He's cool, but he needs more shit to come out with. Anyway, Invader Zim is a good show. You guys should watch that. So anyway, this blood revives Frank, who turns into a pretty cool looking monster. Well, I mean, it's the special effects of him are kind of iffy when he first comes out, like the skeleton out of the floor and reforming and all the gorgons. But I think his makeup looks pretty cool when he's like, the first version of him.
What? When he's
Frank, when he's like, that zombie
when
version.
he first comes out.
Yeah, he
like,
looks pretty
blowing up
cool.
his face.
Although it doesn't make any sense because if you have no flesh, your eyeballs would be sticking out of your head instead of being sunken in. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Scientifically
making everything so soft and jelly-like.
Yeah, right. But he looks pretty cool.
In another note, Jonah Vasquez is coming out with something because I thought I heard about it.
Yeah, ninth grade ninja or something like that.
Ninth grade ninja.
Yeah, no, but I think he just did the character design. I don't think he wrote it or anything like that. I
Okay.
wonder if it's the same group that did Invader Zim.
Invader Zim?
But Invader Zim was a Nickelodeon show, which sucked because I think that show would have made a lot. If it was
really good.
released,
Supposedly they made his life a living hell.
yeah. If it was released now, I think if that show was created now, I think it would have a better chance because it's kind of like that thing where a show's too weird and good that people can't follow.
It's like
it.
Ren and Stimpy.
Yeah, I think if that was a Nickelodeon show, it would have been. It was a Nickelodeon show, right? I can't think of if it was a Cartoon Network show. I'm thinking if it was.
No, they were both Nickelodeon shows.
Yeah, that's the thing. So anyway, what we're leading to find is that blood revives Frank and brings him back piece by piece. So he ends up convincing Julia because she's still so in love with him. If I was Julia and I saw a fucking monster, I'd run out too. But I guess this is a romantic angle.
She's pretty good about being scared, though.
What do you mean? Her acting?
Yeah,
that was pretty good. That was pretty cool. It was pretty convincing. I think this is a movie that wouldn't suffer if they remade it. You know what I mean? If they got rid of that part in the beginning where they show him actually opening the box, and it was more about, and if they played it up, I might be just an idiot saying this. They're probably like, "Shut the fuck up, man." If they played it up that maybe she was just so lovesick over this guy that she doesn't, she's thinking about. No, you know what? I'm an idiot. Never mind what I'm saying. So he convinces her to, get him more blood, and by that way, she just keeps bringing suitors to the house, right?
Yep. She's a whore.
She's a hooah, but she doesn't actually have sex with the guys.
Fucking whore.
She brings
Fuck you in the ass.
She brings this first guy called Rapey McRaperstein to the house after the bar.
Yeah.
He's like, "This is what you brought me here for, huh? Where are they?
It's
in
a lot
England?"
like Living Dead Girl. Have you ever seen that? It's like I think it's like a French movie.
Is it from the 50s? Is that?
It's basically this girl who becomes a zombie, kind of, not really, and her friend, but she could still talk and everything, and her friend just keeps bringing her victims or something.
Sounds like May or any of those other movies, kind of like Frankenstein kind of thing. Is that how it goes? Is that kind of thing?
No, it's like she gets some fucking chemical on her or something. I can't remember exactly. She gets some weird chemical on her that makes her crave to eat humans, and her friend just brings victims to her.
So as you can see, we're talking about Pinhead, but he's hardly in this movie. The movie is 80%.
Julia
Frank and Julia bringing guys upstairs. These guys you think they're gonna have sex, and she beats them to death with a hammer, which is pretty cool. Those scenes are pretty interesting, and Frank just becoming more and more.
She's beginning to enjoy it because she's a real bitch.
Yeah, he's doing some shit where he's sneaking his fingers under their skin and absorbs part of them. I don't know why one guy's body isn't enough to kind of absorb it. It's like the Mummy, like the Mummy movies, where he has to take eyeballs from one guy and a tongue from the other, kind of thing. What's so fun? So I mean,
just picturing that the scenes of people taking eyeballs and tongues. It made me smile.
So I thought you meant up the ass. Oh boy.
Aye.
And eventually what we're learning is that Christy actually runs in one time by mistake. That's the daughter's name, right? Kirsty, excuse me, Kirstie Alley. She runs into the house one day when
she's not eating or dancing.
Yeah, when Julia actually has a suitor up there getting fucked up. And she sees Uncle Frank come out, and he's all bloody, and he looks pretty cool. He's actually, he reminds me of that guy with the skeleton tattoo from all those...
Lady Gaga?
Yeah, the Lady Gaga guy, because people think he's so awesome because he stands around with a skeleton. I enjoy it, but okay, I get it. The guy has a fucking skeleton tattoo. You know when people start taking themselves way too serious because they have one thing? It's like if I wore a purple hat.
Well, I mean, I guess he's destroyed his life so much that he has to kind of...
No, he's become such an anomaly now that he's interesting to be hanging around with, and I think he has the kind of the gravitas and the personality to just handle himself like I'm so cool. Kind of like Deadmau5, you know what I mean? Like they could just walk around saying, "Oh, I'm the shit," and people are like, "Yeah, you're right.
All I gotta say is, if you're gonna tattoo your whole fucking face, you better make it a good one."
Yep, I saw a video where they there's a makeup effect where they put regular skin color on him. He look like a normal guy, so I guess he could do that. He could be like once again going back to Strangeland.
The Joker. He could be like the Joker.
No, he could be like Captain Duty from Strangeland and just walk around with normal skin and a bad wig.
Right.
So yada yada yada. Julia brings one more flesh for the feast. And Kirsty throws the lamentation. What the fuck is this shit called? Is it lamentation? What's it called? We keep forgetting the name.
What the hell is it called? I don't know. She throws the box.
Whatever. She pulls the box out the window, and Frank's like, "No!" And it leads to a weird. Isn't it like a very weird kind of?
Yeah. Why doesn't he fucking go out and get it? I mean, like lament configuration.
I guess
he could easily leave the house. It's not like he's trapped.
Can he? Maybe he's trapped in the house.
I guess maybe he is trapped actually until he becomes because then he's walking around as the fucking dad. Remember?
Yeah, but in the house, he doesn't walk out of the house though.
I think he could leave. I think he doesn't want to because he doesn't want to get seen.
I guess so.
No, it's not like Beetlejuice. Like he's trapped in the house. Maybe it is, and it said that, and I just missed it.
But she runs out of the house after throwing the box. She confronts him, and then she's like walking around the street dazed. And this is plot device only for her not to go to her father because she passes out on the street with her box, and they put her in a loony house with fucking Jackie Childs from Seinfeld. She had a job at a pet store, right? And you see Rob Zombie come in, this homeless guy who looks like Rob Zombie.
Yeah, he's in the friggin'
What do you think about her doofy boyfriend? Such a douchebag. She's
irrelevant to the whole movie.
He comes in 5 minutes at the end, and I was waiting for one of the Cenobites to eat him or something. But yeah, so she passes out on the street. These two nuns walk by, and then these three...
They're molesting her, like, fresh meat.
These three stereotypical 80s film characters, a Spanish guy, a white guy in a business suit, and I forget what the third person was.
That would never happen. Those people would all kill each other.
Yeah, right? They're like, hey, wait a minute, why don't you be living in one of my slums? And they go, oh, Judge, all right. Like, that kind of thing. That's what they should have done. Like, that version of that movie, like, if the film followed those three characters, like the white guy in the business suit would be the slumlord, and they'd call it Rent-Raiser. Oh boy! And so she's in. She wakes up in a loony bin, and the guy leaves a box with her, and he's like, "Maybe this will jog your memories." Oh boy! And she starts playing with the box, and a goddamn monster flies out of the wall. What do you think? I thought the monster could have been cool, but it just kind of looked cheap in a way.
Yeah, it looks like it's.
It only once does the actual effect look cool, where she's running and the monster's actually giant behind her, like, and you actually see them both on the same frame. Because when you do the close-ups, it looks pretty shitty because you could tell the monster wasn't.
Tell it's like on a stick and something.
Yeah, you could tell in some parts where the monster wasn't moving down the hallway at all, and it was just doing close-ups of its mutant face and stuff like that.
It is a cool design, though, but so it's just like
she ends up meeting the Cenobites, and she tries to give a deal with them, saying, "Oh, Frank escaped." And they're like, but that's the thing. Pinhead is fucking awesome. Just in this 3 minutes that he's in this scene, he's fucking cool. All the Cenobites are cool.
That's probably Clive Barker's like ideal man right there.
He probably is. Right? Who knows what?
I think he really must be into like this bondage stuff. Just because it seems to be a common theme.
He says that that one of the ideas is that he came up with is because he was going to S&M clubs, and the design of the Cenobites had a big thing with it. It was even funny because when I first didn't know that Clive Barker was gay when I was younger, because they were like, "Oh, look at Pinhead, he's wearing a fucking dress," and I was like, "Oh yeah." Not that having a character in a dress makes you gay or anything like that, but it was just He's like, oh yeah, that
Maybe
makes sense.
he's,
It's playing with sexual
maybe he's
themes.
Irish or Scottish.
He has his dick hanging out from the bottom, and he
He's
originally
imagine if he was wearing a kilt, how much it would change the movie.
yeah, he's playing with bagpipes and shit.
Right.
He's like, oh, you got to
Bagpipes,
stop
well,
this.
like when you play it, like fire and demons come out.
It's like, oh, I'll show you pain that's unimaginable. Anyway, so she sets up a deal with the Cenobites, and then Kirsty comes back home. Unfortunately, she's too late because Larry actually gets killed because of his bitch wife.
I love this scene. This is like the scene that I always remember.
So get into it.
With so he's dressed. He wears like a mask of Larry. Frank wears a mask of Larry and comes downstairs, and it's just like really creepy. Like, and you can see behind his ears like all the bloodline of where it is. It's basically he does a Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah, he pulls his face off and puts it back on his. And Kirsty comes and confronts him. She figures out she's looking for Frank, but it's actually this guy in her dad's face. And eventually, what did she do? Did she fuck around with the box again to get the Cenobites out?
Well, no. First, they take away Frank, the Cenobites.
Yeah, you know what? I hadn't seen that image in a while, and I thought it was an Asian guy because they.
I'm messing up the order here, but basically, Frank kills Julia. First of all,
yeah, he stabs her. He's going to stab Kirsty, but then he accidentally stabs Julia and goes, "Oh, it's nothing personal," or he says something like that. And then
the Cenobites come.
See, dating bad boys, ladies. What was that? Like a Freudian slip? I said dad boys.
They'll stab you, and then demons will come and take them away.
Yep. So she's fucked, and eventually Pinhead and crew take Frank, and he's like, Jesus wept. And
I love that.
His face is all slanted, his eyes are all slanted because they pull it, and I thought he was turning into the Asian guy from the beginning of the movie. So it was very racist.
They do. They turn you into an Asian.
And he just explodes as she walks out.
They're creating more Asians.
And then Kirsty tries to run out of the house, and whatever happy ending, she gets away with her and her stupid... Her 1980s
basically,
boyfriend.
they want to take her now too, because anybody that like opens the box is like a.
I don't get it. Is it if you do the puzzle wrong, they come after you? Because it seems like she did the puzzle right, and that's what sends them back to hell.
I mean, from the book, it's like if you figure out how to open it, they'll come and they'll kind of give you the option if you want to experience ultimate sensations.
Oh, but in the film version, they're just like, you're going to come with us anyway?
Yeah, in the film, you open the box, and you're coming with us.
So so what did she do? It seems like in the film version that if you fuck up the puzzle, you go to hell, but if you do it correctly...
Yeah, I don't think you fuck it up.
Or maybe it's because if you finish the puzzle while they're around you, they'll go away.
I don't quite... I think they keep it a little vague.
Because she did something with the puzzle box, and they're like, no, don't do that. Are you going to... I'll be like, oh, I'll
back up when he was still out.
If I was Pinhead, I'd be like, I'll make you suffer more if you do that. I wouldn't be like, no, don't do that, because then, somebody's going to be I shouldn't do this? Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. It's almost like I saw this movie called The Paparazzi once. I don't know why. I saw it with some girl, and it was about this paparazzi, and they were harassing this actor and his wife, and they got into a car accident. I guess it was very Princess Diana themed film. Mel Gibson produced
that. Was so funny when that happened, really?
Mel Gibson produced this film, so I'm sure they all had yarmulkes on somewhere in the movie.
Right.
And
they went into ovens at some point.
One of the four paparazzi guys decided, to make their life even more hell, even after all that shit happened. So one thing happens where one of the paparazzi falls over the side of a cliff, and the main character is holding his arm, holding him up from falling to his death. And then the paparazzi guy goes like this. He's like, oh man, when I get up that hill, I'm going to make your life living hell. Really? And the guy goes, oh yeah, and then he just lets him go and he falls to his death. I'm like, that's not only bad writing, it's just like, why'd you even film it? You know what I mean?
Why? Yeah, that's retarded.
It's stupid. Anyway, so that's it for Pinhead. This movie, I think,
I feel like we talked about a lot of things.
Yeah, because there's no Pinhead in this movie. Pinhead's fucking odd.
No, we're just talking about the franchise.
For the 8 minutes... Yeah, right. For the 8 minutes...
Sequels, but maybe I'll watch the second one.
Yeah, I mean, it made me interested enough to try to watch more Pinhead films, but I don't know if they could do any better, because in the 8 minutes that he's in this film, he's fucking awesome, but I don't know if that's they overuse him in the other ones. Because I remember seeing part 3, a bit of part 3, and sure. I think it's more all about them instead of the main characters doing something stupid.
Yeah, the thing is, like, with a movie like this, I'm actually more into the character development than I am into the bad guys.
Yeah, I get what you're saying because it's almost
It's
like
cool. Like the story of Frank and everything. Like I don't want to like. I mean, the Cenobites are cool, but like.
Yeah, they're
just,
there
like,
to bookend
people.
the film almost. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're just
they can,
like cool little highlights. They're basically just like bondage demons.
and that's probably in the best use of them because in part 3, there's a part where they go into a club with a bunch of people and they massacre everybody inside the club, and it's a pretty fucking
that's
awesome
not what they
scene.
would do.
Right, so I don't know what the point is. I think they just wanted to have these kind of super killers, like 4 Freddy's and Jasons and Michael Myers, and
they're not
around,
slashers,
right? But eventually, I think that's what
they
I think that's one of the routes that the films went. But for a Hellraiser film, I think it's pretty good. It's a pretty interesting film, and there's like enough going on that it doesn't slow down. I don't think. I mean, the Julia aspect of the story is a little bit slowing.
To the book, it just doesn't get as
in
more
detail.
on the action and less on the the details of spending a month trying to open the box and all this kind of shit.
So, is this a good representation of Pinhead in the film, and would you recommend it?
I mean, based on the one movie I've seen in the book, yeah.
Yeah, I think he's pretty.
I don't even know if they get into him necessarily in the book.
I think apparently if you do like Pinhead, this is a good like cameo from him. Everybody looks at this film. It's almost like Jason in Friday the 13th Part 1. He's not even in the fucking movie. He's just in a flashback, but they'll always put it as part of the film series. So right. I'm sure the sequels have him a bit more. Oh, they'll have him a lot more than this. The second one is
like his mom or something.
Who knows? Yeah, I know, right? But I think as a film, it works as a nice little kind of creature film that has a main story, but is bookended by these kind of supernatural characters. Almost like if there's this comic book called Death Note where there's a guy who gets this notebook and he's able to write people's names and they all die. But there's a supernatural character that doesn't affect any of the storyline, but he's just there just to be there while everybody else is being realistic, called Ryuk. So, I mean, it's an interesting kind of concept where these supernatural characters are going on, and they're the side story as opposed to the main story, and how much effect do they have on it. So, what's your rating on it?
I'm going to give this movie a 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10... really bad electric cartoon
it's really
coming
bad.
out of a box.
It's fucking horrible.
To take away the Cenobites.
I'll give an 8 out of the 10 prodigal son brother deep dicking an ugly woman and making her swear her allegiance to him forever. So with that, what is our next film in the Big 5 of October?
We're doing Freddy next?
No, Child's Play.
Okay, we're doing Child's Play 1 next.
Child's Play, it's just Child's Play, right? Child's Play 2 and Child's Play 3, right?
Yeah,
so it is Child's Play, which
Chucky.
is Charles Lee Ray, right? Is that his name? Or am I fucked
Charles
up?
Lee Ray.
Who's Chucky, played by Brad Dourif. So with that,
which is definitely the best of all the 5.
Oh yes. So Danny, what is the final word?
Boom.
The horror deconstruction.